Alright, welcome back. In this video, we're going to discuss Federalist number 70, so let's do it. Alright, so in this video, we're going to talk about Federalist number 70. Do me a favor, hit that like button real quick before you forget, and let's jump right into it. The main idea of Federalist number 70 is that Alexander Hamilton was arguing in favor of a unitary executive. That means that he thought one person should have the power of the presidency. Now, that might seem a little bit strange because a lot of us maybe haven't even thought about the possibility of having more than one person kind of sharing that power of the presidency. But if you think about it, a lot of things that the framers did when they made the Constitution was trying to divide power up, right? And make sure that nobody had too much power. So this is actually a really important argument. So why would Hamilton think that it would be better to give all the power of the presidency to a single person? That's what he's going to argue about in Federalist number 70. So let's jump right in. So Hamilton's first argument is that a good government needs an active and decisive executive. Here you see he says that energy in the executive is a leading character in the definition of good government. He says it's essential to the protection of the community. He says that we need to have a steady administration of laws. And he says that this will lead to the security of liberty. So when Hamilton talks about energy in the executive, it needs to be able to move, to respond when there are problems. It needs to be able to enforce the law and protect the public when necessary. And again, somewhat surprisingly, Hamilton is arguing in favor of a stronger executive. In the next section, he talks about how a weak executive implies an inefficient government. So here, Hamilton says that a feeble or weak executive implies a feeble or weak execution of government. And he says that this is really just another way to say a bad execution, which must be a bad government. So to Hamilton, if the executive is too weak to enforce things, it's only going to lead to a bad, inefficient outcome from the government. Next, Hamilton argues what will lead to having a good presidency. He says that we need to have just a single president. It needs to have sufficient powers, it needs to have enough of term length to be able to get things done. And of course, it needs to be dependent on the people. So what's necessary for us to have an energetic executive? Well, Hamilton says unity. What he means there is a single president. Then he highlights duration, which is talking about the term length. So they need to have enough time to be able to get things done. And then third and fourth kind of go together, adequate provision for its support and competent powers. So he's saying here that it needs to have enough power to actually get things done. And then Hamilton also mentions a dependence on the people. So as always, we know that the president needs to be subject to the people. The people need to have some kind of power over the president. And here's where we really get to the main idea. Hamilton here is going to show us why he thinks that giving the executive power to a single person will lead to better outcomes than again dividing it and giving it to a group of people or having a plurality of the executive. So here Hamilton lists some of the advantages as he sees them to having just a single president. He says if it's just one person making these decisions, it will have more activity, more secrecy, be able to act more quickly than if there were multiple people. And the reason for this is relatively obvious. He says whenever there's two or more people trying to do something, there's always the danger of difference of opinion. Obviously, one person won't disagree with himself or herself, so that is much less likely to be a problem. But again, you might be raising the question, well, why do we want the president to be acting quickly? Because he's now talking about that like it's an advantage. Because if you think about the Constitution, a lot of it is designed to make policymaking very, very slow and deliberate. But here, Hamilton argues that while we want Congress to act slowly and deliberately, we actually do want the president to act quickly. Well, why? So first we focus on Congress. He says that promptitude of decision, meaning acting quickly, he says that that's more often an evil than a benefit. So if Congress is acting too quickly, they're more likely to make bad laws, poor laws, or laws that might strip people of their rights. So it's good for Congress to act slow because it promotes deliberation and circumspection, meaning that there is time to kind of see the good and the bad side of things, and also, perhaps most importantly, he says that it serves to check excesses in the majority. So again, it prevents majorities from being able to dominate minorities. So you want Congress to be slow. On the other hand, Hamilton thinks that some of the most important qualities in the executive are vigor and expedition. These are ways of saying strength and decisiveness, being able to act quickly. And Hamilton's argument here is really that Congress is the one who makes the policy and makes the laws. All the president does is execute those things. So to Hamilton, the law has already been made. We just need the president to carry it out, to enforce it now, as well as to be able to respond quickly in times of crisis, in times of war or disaster. Hamilton also believes that it's easier to assign blame and to hold the president accountable when there's only one person serving in that role. And here is perhaps his best argument. He says that one of the weightiest objections to plurality in the executive, or having multiple people share that power, is that it tends to conceal faults and destroy responsibility. And the reason for this is that they're each going to blame each other when things go wrong, and when things go well, they're each going to try to take credit. So for the public, it often becomes impossible to know who to blame or who to punish by voting them out of office. So building on that argument, Hamilton goes on to say that having a single president means that that person will be more accountable to the people and will be more responsive to public opinion. So again, we see the cleverness of this argument, because we started off worried that giving all the power of the presidency to one person might be a bad thing, but Hamilton actually figured out a way to show that, you know what, giving all that power to one person actually will give the people more power to check them, because they'll know exactly who to blame or who to praise if they're doing a good job. And so again, he says that since there's only that one person, they have to be very concerned with public opinion, because there's nobody else for him or her to blame. And so if the people feel like the president isn't doing a good job or is actually involved in misconduct, they can demand their removal from office, they can vote them out of office, or he even does mention actual punishment if necessary. So Hamilton makes the counterintuitive argument that giving all the power of the presidency to a single person will actually protect individual rights better than splitting it up among multiple people. So what do you think? Should presidents have lots of power to be able to do what they want, especially in times of emergency or war? Or should their power be more constrained and limited? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Until next time, this has been a La Money production. Thanks again for watching this video. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And check out the AP Gov Ultimate Review Packet. It has tons of great study guides, a lot of practice, a multiple choice test, everything you need to prepare for the AP test. So check it out. See you guys next time.